Hey everyone, me again. A little bit of a rant video today, but I think it's an educational rant because it's something that's been on my mind. I've been seeing a lot of it lately. It's not a new phenomenon, but it's been going on for a while. And that's the sales of these like importer refurbished firearms. So I'm not talking things like this Carcano, which was refurbished, but it was refurbished by a government arsenal decades ago before it was imported. That sort of thing isn't supposed to make anything any more valuable. It's just something kind of incidental to its past, and they sell it as a shooter all the same. It was a $200 gun. Nothing special about that. That's extraordinarily common. I'm talking about when an importer brings in a batch of firearms that, let's say, cosmetically leave a little bit to be desired. So a good example of this might be something that comes in looking like this 95 pattern Mauser, where you can see we're missing quite a bit of original finish and the stock is all dinged up. And so they figure we can sell these faster, we can sell them for more if we take them apart, reblue all the metal, redo the stock, and make it look like, their idea of what factory fresh would look like. That is what I think is quite a bit of a ripoff, and I don't really think it has a place in anybody's collection, regardless of the style of collecting that they do. And the reason for that really is that people that kind of collect old military guns, they tend to fall into, one of two sides on a spectrum. And so these are, on one end, you have people that want the nicest, rarest, most correct of everything. Some of their guns, or many of their guns, they probably don't even shoot very much, if at all, because they don't want to risk, the collectible value of them. So, heaven forbid you crack the extractor on Hermann Goering's, personal sidearm or something like that. And then on the other side of it, you have the more shooter-oriented people, which are a lot less concerned with any of that stuff, so long as it's mechanically sound and the bore is good, essentially that they can shoot it reasonably well, and it still, more or less looks the part, it's just fine. And so, in fact, they kind of tend to shy away from things that are, too rare, too unusual, because they figure if I can't shoot it, I don't really want it. And, they wouldn't be particularly bothered if you told them, oh, that barrel band is really, wrong for the for that year or something like that. So, in my opinion, though, the importer refurb stuff really kind of don't fit either camp. And so the people that fall into that first category, the more purist sorts of people, essentially they know exactly what they're looking at, and the way that they tend to look at things or evaluate them is, the further it is removed from the original condition, or rather the more steps it is removed from the factory original condition, the worse that it is. So for instance, this 95 pattern Mauser at some point was factory fresh. Of course, it had to have been. But as you can see, clearly it's been carried quite a lot. And as such, lost a lot of original finish and the stock got dinged up. And so let's say that's one step away from, factory original condition. If I was to take this whole thing apart and reblue everything and sand the stock and make it look pristine again, now it's two steps away from original condition. It doesn't take it back to zero. And if you're an expert on this stuff, if you're a hardcore collector, you'll spot that right away. You'll smell it from a mile away, and you wouldn't want this gun, essentially, is what it amounts to. Okay, so what if you're more of a shooter and you don't care about some of these purist aspects of it? Is it worth it then? Well, no, because you're being asked to pay a several $100 premium above a standard shooter grade rifle for a useless, nice finish. Some of them will, in fact, even tell you, we don't select for bore condition. And so essentially you're just as likely to end up with, a pretty sewer pipe as opposed to an ugly sewer pipe. But if you want to shoot the gun, those things are equally bad to you. And yet you've spent more money for it. And if they're both mechanically sound and they shoot well, do you really want to spend the additional few $100s to make it look good in a way that doesn't make it any more desirable to a collector? I wouldn't personally, and I don't recommend it. But if you do, of course, you're an adult. It's your money. You can spend it as you see fit. If you want one, go ahead and get it. I'm just pointing out that unlike some of the advertisements for these things seem to imply, this is not something that makes them more desirable to collectors, and it's not something that makes them any better of shooters. So why exactly should you spend your money on it? That's about it. Rant over. Thank you for listening, as always.